samurai. You are a warrior. I can see that. You trained your whole life for this. And you have won battles that lesser men have called unwinnable, yes? But while you were sharpening your sword, do you know how I prepared for today? I learned. I know your language, your traditions, your beliefs. Which villages? So I'll ask you once again, samurai. Do you surrender?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brian Altano.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to PlayStation Experience. Who here loves Sucker Punch? Who here is incredibly excited and mystified for that trailer we just saw? Who here wants to find out just a little bit more about it today? Well, you're in the right place. I'm Brian Altano. Thank you all so much for coming. I'd like to introduce an incredible group of creative people. Ladies and gentlemen, Sucker Punch.
That's awesome.
Look at that.
That's amazing. Wow.
Is there room for you? I'll sit on Jason's
here.
lap. Oh,
Couches are the
sit on my
hardest
lap.
part of video game development. There we go. Get cozy. On it. Hi, guys.
Hey.
I want to go down the row real quick, introduce you, each other. Let us know what you do for the studio, and we'll start talking about the game. So what's up?
My name's Nate Fox. I'm the creative director.
Yes. Give it up.
I salute the person who woos first. Takes courage.
My name's Jason CONNELL. I work on creative direction, but I'm also the art director for the project.
I'm Billy Harper. I'm the animation director. Yeah.
And I'm RYUHEI Katami. I'm the associate producer for this title.
Guys, thank you so much for coming today. Ghost of Tsushima is the next game from Sucker Punch. We've seen the trailer. Tell me about it.
Start up.
Cool, nailed it. Perfect.
Well, it's been a labor of love getting from the original concept through to the trailer itself. It was something that we had a really strong vision for, and we were excited, very excited.
What? He wanted to know about the game.
Oh, the game.
What is the game about?
Well, you are the guy to talk about the
I mean,
game.
Clearly, we practiced this.
yeah, we practiced really hard.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima is about the Mongol invasion of Tsushima Island in the year 1274. You play as a samurai. A samurai that survives and fights back and develops the technique of the ghost.
That was so much.
That was beautiful.
He's so good at this.
First woo, again.
You get a trophy
Same
for
person.
that. So what does it take to create a trailer like this? I mean, we've seen it now. We're picking apart every detail of it. I imagine this is an incredible amount of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. You know, depending on where you're at in your project, you have to kind of figure out, when you start wanting to share it with your fans, you have to figure out what's the most important thing that you want to share. And that's where it all starts. And for us, transport people back to feudal Japan and showcase this thing that really happened and becoming a samurai. But then after that, it's super creative. It's all about the tone, which I quite really like the tone of the trailer, the feeling of the place. Then you get into like cinematography, lighting, and concept. Like all of this stuff applies straight to the game. And as a general rule, since we do all of our trailers in-house, as a general rule, we like to make sure that the things that we're making for our trailers are actually locations in the world. So all of those places are actually locations in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything we saw there, I'm looking at that and I'm like, I can go there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
See, why don't they make more video game trailers like that? They're just like, here's a film that we made, and you watch the whole thing. It has nothing to do with our game. That's awesome. That's very good to hear.
That was one of the most fun parts of the whole process. You're kind of like location scouting.
Yeah.
Just flying around through the game, finding these areas, and then just putting a lens on it, and everything else just flows from there. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of just reflects the coolness, right? Like, who doesn't want to go to feudal Japan? And those are the places you want to go. So put them in the trailer, and so we make sure that they're in there so you can experience them.
Yeah. And I think that's like what's so fantastic about video games. Like you say, who wants to go to feudal Japan? And I'm like, I don't, because I would die. But I do in a Sucker Punch game. And luckily, you're going to let me.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges in creating a trailer like this? I mean, I imagine that there are so many ideas you want to put in, and so many secrets you want to hold back, and then probably lots of infighting. See?
Only a little bit.
Just a little bit. Right at the beginning. You know, we get over it. We all bruise easily, so therefore we don't fight that much. I think the biggest challenge is trying to find the voice of each character that you're going to show. And in this particular case, one of the largest characters is the world. And really, as Jason said, like starting out the process, looking at the locations, and then finding the voice of the con ended up being that spark that started us down the path.
Yeah, and it wasn't our first one, right? Like,
Nope, definitely not.
We didn't start there. We're like, oh yeah, let's do the Khan's voice. It's not exactly where we started, you know, but highly iterative team, you know, small group of people, and our creative director of videography work, he came up with this idea of trying to use the Khan's voice from a shoot that Dave had done with Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It was a sweet, weird idea from left field.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I remember Dave, like he just came out and he's like, because he was doing selects from one of our mocap shoot. He was just going through and like picking out what we're going to do for a regular scene.
Yeah.
And he came out and he's like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Patrick sounds great. This scene is great. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And he locked himself in the editing room and like came out
And
The
that
first
became
pass.
the whole trailer. Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that has to kind of come together, right? I mean, there's an order to it. You don't just go like, well, we start with the VO, or we have the game, we have footage, and then we have this music. It all sort of gels, right? Were you worried at any given moment that like each part of it individually wasn't connecting the way you wanted to? Every day.
Every moment.
See, making video games is just like, to me from the outside looking in, I don't make games. I just talk about them. It seems like consistently terrifying.
Oh yeah, I think it's consistently terrible. It's a lot of up and downs, and that's the fun part of it though, because you know, you see an idea, you're really excited about it, and you might realize that maybe that's not the best idea, and then all of a sudden somebody else comes up with something and throws it, you know, 10 feet higher, and you get excited again. So it's just throwing ideas out like that. So
Are you guys really consistently terrified?
Yes.
Really?
Oh God.
creatively?
The number of fever dreams. It's just crazy.
This is a therapy couch,
Yeah.
technically.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
You didn't know
you
this.
can let it out. Are you just hearing about this for the first time?
They come off as very confident.
This is the real reason I brought you all here today.
Yeah, I'll
Let out our inner fears of game development.
Yeah, that's, you know, being a parent, you just act like you know what you're doing.
I mean,
And they
all the
believe you.
conversations
Fake it till you
we
make it.
have is like all calm and like we point out all the issues and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll take it into consideration.
Under the surface, we're the duck.
Yeah.
Like with the,
Right, yeah.
what's going on?
Ryu, were you terrified about anything in that trailer?
Yeah.
And it probably is not in the trailer now.
It's not in the trailer.
Yeah.
We took it out. Yeah, because we actually have a team in Japan who helped a huge deal with this trailer, as well as our team in San Mateo. And we all worked collaboratively in making sure that we're hitting the right moments in this trailer. And we ensure that the representation is respective to the Japanese culture, and that's a huge part of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it sounds like some things didn't make it in there, but what did make it in there is a lot. We're seeing some weather effects. We're seeing some day-night stuff. We're seeing a lot of weapons. Is this basically intentional? Like, is everything in there? Are you trying to tell players, like, this is something you will be able to find, you'll be able to do?
There is definitely, every shot has, depending on the level, but there is very, very intentional choices that we made for every single shot. So for example, the opening shot that's in the pampas grass, the Suzuki grass, that was not, there's some people that suggested, oh, let's make this beautiful blue sky, sunny day with this sunset. But that shot actually starts off with a storm behind it, and there's intention behind that. Like it's a taste of things to come and sets the tone. So whether it's as small as that or various other things, that's the kind of choices I think we made in the trailer, especially when it comes to like weather and lighting and color and all that.
You're kind of saying like, hey,
It's serious.
hey, we're gonna get that.
That's a good tonal statement, though, right?
Yeah.
Things are not okay
No.
in Tsushima,
No,
No.
very not.
which is good for video games, right?
Right.
Because,
You need conflict.
yeah.
I don't want to
Conflict
play a
is
game where
drama,
everything's okay.
Brian. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I'm picking up on it. I think it's like when you look at a beautiful world in a video game, and video games are escapism, right? You do want to just kind of relax a little bit. You want to kind of sit back and go like, this is a great place to be. But after a while, you're like, I gotta do something, right?
Well, particularly when you have a 3-foot razor on your hip.
Is that the technical term for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we call it.
Yeah.
A 3-foot razor?
Well,
That's
katana, who doesn't, you have one, you want to use it.
Yeah. You
mean-
can't just carry it around. It's too
No,
heavy to
man.
not use.
No. If I give you a lightsaber right now, you wouldn't chop this chair in half.
If I had a lightsaber right now, I would chop everything in this room in half.
Yeah.
Wow.
And no offense to any of you, but come on, you would do the same. It's a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Note to self. No lightsabers for Brian.
So I want to talk a little bit more about how the trailer came together, because right now it is the biggest piece of media that you guys have kind of given us to chew on. And you have some kind of like behind-the-scenes elements that made it into this trailer. Let's talk about that a little bit. Just the process through all of this.
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh.
Go for it, man.
That was.
You mocapped a horse.
Yeah.
Yes.
This happened.
2 horses.
Yeah, everyone's so calm about this. Oh yeah, that was the time we mocapped. You mocapped a horse. It's got mocap socks on and.
Dude.
How, like there's 2 horses.
Yeah.
You put
I
ping
get
pong balls on.
I get so excited when I see this. Like as an animation director, this was the scariest shot. Like I actually had to pitch the production of this shot for it to get approved to get in because we were doing something that we hadn't done before.
Right.
But at the same time, it was another one of those exhilarating things. Like oddly enough, what would you guess would be the biggest thing you had to deal with on stage with those huge beasts?
With a horse, can I tell you?
Yes.
Can I say it?
Tell us.
It's the poop.
No.
What?
No. I think there was like 3 potty breaks that happened during the entire
Is that what
day.
they call them?
Potty
Well, my kids are watching, I hope.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm keeping it clean. No, it's markers. Like every shoot, we had a gazillion markers on the horses, and we had 3 people that would follow around behind afterwards to pick up the markers, then put them on as quick as they could.
Yeah, one falls off.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
video.
in the
Yeah.
Video.
So horses don't like wearing stickers. A lot of little girls are going to be devastated by that.
Oh, it was really impressive, though. They had a sugar-based glue that they would apply, and they had multiple horses that they would rotate out so they could have breaks and everything like that.
So how many horses did you have in the shoot?
4. 4 were involved in the shoot.
What? Did they have a union?
Huh? Yeah. They had really good representation.
Yeah.
They
Very good.
take breaks often.
4 horses
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
called a gang.
Yeah.
It's a gang of horses. Everyone knows that. So that sounds fascinating. So what are we looking at here? This is what the final. We brought the horses in.
Yeah.
They didn't eat the sugar stickers. They didn't poop too much, and somehow that becomes this. This is what I find incredible about game design.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the really big thing about it is that this wasn't a one-off. This was a test for us to see if we were going to be able to do this sort of thing for the game. And one of the biggest bonuses of the entire thing is like coming back and like the report on this is amazing. We're going to continue to work with Fritz and his crew with the Warhorse Foundation.
That's an awesome foundation.
Yeah. It's a great foundation.
Do you remember the names of any of these horses that now look
It's a great question, Nate.
intimidating and like they're going to trample you to death?
Yes. The one that was my favorite was Sugar Cube.
Aw, that's a sweet name for a war horse.
That is.
Yeah.
For a warhorse.
It was the meanest
Sugar
one, too.
Cube, the warhorse.
Yeah.
So you talked about being scared leading up to the release of the trailer, but now it's out there, and I did a thing I don't try to do often. I read the YouTube comments. But people are incredibly excited about this. People are really happy. What's the mood at the studio like now? Is there relief, or is this now you have to push into the next phase now?
It's awesome.
It's awesome?
It's so awesome.
It's so good
I mean,
to hear.
imagine you've been working on something and you really care about it, and you can't tell anyone, no one, because your producer threatens you every day with termination if you tell anyone, and then it goes out public. It's great. Suddenly you can share this thing that you've been, dreaming about at night, working on all the time, and see if people are as excited about it as you are.
Did it
And
feel
it's
like
a huge relief?
Does it feel like keeping a secret?
Oh yeah.
And then, well, because I mean, you literally are, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're like a spy. You have to watch what you say when you're drinking in a bar.
Yeah.
Because
That's a good rule for always.
But normally we don't go by that rule.
yeah, we do not follow that rule.
I've never heard
You
that.
guys should follow some rules. That's a good rule.
If you're ever in Bellevue, Washington,
Oh God, don't do it.
our studio is there. Valve, Bungie, there are all these video game studios, and so you'll go to a bar and you'll be like, "Hello," and you'll hear things.
You just hear four guys sitting around. I'm so tired of making these infamous games. Now it's time for feudal Japan, and you just write it down.
It is.
That's how it happened.
It happened.
Don't tell me that. I work for IGN. We'll send someone to that bar. Send Marty Sleva to that bar. He loves that bar.
It would work.
Well, we would just drink with him.
Well, that makes journalism easier. So the trailer gets out there. All of you are now relieved, but now, obviously, you kick into the next phase, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's kick.
Segue.
I just reminded you guys you have to make the game now. So
Yeah.
finish this now. Sly Cooper.
Right?
Infamous. I was talking to you guys backstage about how cool Infamous is because it nails Seattle. It was there for the PlayStation launch. The two are connected to me as it's just an incredible franchise. It's always been just so wonderful to me, especially through IGN. I feel like I've been there long enough. Those games kept going on long enough while I was there covering them. I've always loved your studio, and I think I just expected I would get another announcement for another Infamous game. I'd be like, cool, good to go. But instead, you're taking your studio in an entirely new direction, something I don't think anyone would have predicted unless they were at that bar where you were lying.
Yeah. You were talking about it way too much.
You got to go to that bar. Why? Why this new change for the studio? Why this step in this new direction?
You do something for a long time, you want to try something different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Creativity.
it's creatively satisfying to be freaked out.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Infamous. I think it's great. But, I also love creating art and love creating new worlds. So this is a good opportunity for us.
And it's always best to challenge yourself. Like, you can be comfortable with an IP, with the world and the universe. You get really comfortable, and it's a creative process, and you kind of have to like shake yourself up every now and then,
right?
Do something, and take a risk. This was definitely a risk, but one that was so worth taking because we get to write a love letter to like one of our favorite genres, really.
Was everyone on board for this? Was this like
Genres, really.
was everyone on board for this? Was this like, did you step in the room and go like, hey, we're leaving Seattle, we're going to feudal Japan? And everyone's like, hell yeah, and one guy's like, never. Was everyone all in?
It was, people were pretty excited. You set off to make a new project. There's you dabble in an idea here, dabble here, and then you hit the thing that you really been wanting to make. And I think the whole studio kind of just lit up, and it was crazy. The first month or two of production or pre-production on the project. Oh my God, so much stuff got done, and I think that's purely because people are super motivated, super excited. And also, it kind of just writes itself. You say like, feudal Japan, samurai, big world. There's people start coming up with all kinds of scenarios.
Right.
So it's great.
Yeah, I mean, because we always try to focus on the player fantasy. It's really important to us. And you have ideas and you kind of try them, and it's like, oh, this could be something, and you move around, and then this is one where it's just like, oh my gosh, it's easy to say, like open world samurai game.
Yeah.
Boom, and everybody gets excited.
Right.
Yeah.
Him especially.
There's another wooer.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like it changes the entire tone at the studio, right? Like everyone all of a sudden, like I'm sure you kept some Seattle posters up on the wall. I don't know why I think like you dress your studio like you're like a teenage boy's set on a sitcom.
Oh, we
It's
do.
just like, oh, we love Seattle. There's
We
posters
totally
everywhere.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so all of a sudden, like you are now in a different century. You're talking about things in a different way. There's different research all over the walls, right?
Yes.
One thing that's really cool about this game that we've never done before, you actually have to learn every day making this game, right?
Yeah.
Like,
It's a lot
you're
of
making Infamous set in Seattle. You're like, I think I got this.
Go outside.
Yeah. But then you're trying to recreate Kamakura era Japan, and you realize you know nothing. And so every day you keep learning. You keep asking questions to somebody who actually knows something.
And I keep learning every day because you ask questions and I don't know the answers right away. So like, it really helps study about my country, which is weird. You kind of expected to know more, but people don't. I think even people in Japan right now don't know much about Kamakura history. It's such a minor period in the span of Japanese history. Tsushima itself is also a small island in Japan. It's not a major destination, so it's great that we're picking that spot and opening the gates to interest.
I don't even think I could name all 50 states in America, and I've been here my entire life. I needed like the Animaniacs to help me with that. Shout out to Animaniacs. So then why this era? Like, what does this sort of afford the storytelling? Because if it's something that you have to, I understand the challenge of being an artist and saying like, this is something we figured out and we wanted to challenge ourselves and do something new, a new creative endeavor. But why this specifically? Why tell a story here?
Dude, go ahead.
Maybe a couple answers.
I don't.
One of you
You
at
start.
least
You start.
one of you should have this down, right?
Well,
So I personally feel like I absolutely love samurai films, and a lot of them are
yes.
a lot of them are in Edo period or near it, which is super awesome. It's not a very common depiction of in film. It's not or in games even. It's not a very common time period to bring back to. And
Kamakura.
if you look at the armor references and the styles and the things that they're wearing, it's really awesome. Like it's some really great stuff from us to pull from. So I know selfishly, I'm very excited that we decided to go that direction because there's a wealth of just beautiful stuff to replicate and be inspired by.
So for me, like when I was a kid, my dad and I watched Magnificent Seven. Yes, we loved. I loved that movie. And then one day my dad was like, "All right, here is the real story. This is what it's based off of." He breaks out Seven Samurai.
Yes.
Yeah, Kurosawa, and I fell in love.
Your dad sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. But it taught me a lot, like, the inspiration behind it and the acting choices. It was definitely different, but at its core, it was still this story. And when you swap out what I thought at the time was pretty cool, a pistol, with a katana, it gets like 10 times cooler. And so for me, that was, I was sold the minute that I heard this is what we were doing.
So we kind of have to thank your dad for this.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Billy's dad.
yeah.
Thank you, Billy's dad.
Yes.
What was Japan going through during this time in actual real life? I mean, we've talked about it through the lens of pop culture and books and film, but what was happening during then?
The Mongols invaded. I mean, that's real.
I know. I asked you so we could, because I didn't actually know a lot. I'm not great at history.
All right, well,
please tell me.
All right, so this really happened, right?
Okay.
The Mongols roll up, a few thousand guys, and 80 samurai rode forth to meet them for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you picture that?
No, that sounds terrifying.
It sounds horrible, but they I mean, noble. Yeah. And it's that doesn't scream make a video game to you? I mean, that's a political, it's an event that happens, but I mean, that is such a large historical event that also can overlap with action so well that it's exciting. Are you talking about like on the mainland? Like, what are the politics of?
Well, how much are you going to tell me about how it connects into the game?
Shh. Wait, this is the part where you nudge him.
Okay, yeah. That was the tell for stop talking.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a significant time in Japanese history because this is the first recorded major invasion to Japan by a foreign force. So these samurais are actually facing an enemy that they've never seen before. They don't know what they're going to fight with, and they're just charging at them with what they know. So it's a great, it creates a chance for a great gameplay and event.
Sounds awesome.
Experience.
Yes.
So I can't imagine all of this is going to be historically accurate, right? I mean, you have the word ghost in the title. I don't know if that's a gameplay element yet. I'm kind of hoping it is. But are you taking creative liberties here? Are you basing this entirely on actual historical event, or are you sort of being inspired by and moving in your own direction?
Absolutely inspired by.
Yeah.
There's so much inspiration to take from this event and the time period and the location and the place. And it's just the jumping off point. We want to tell our own original story and our own things that happen in our version of that world. And that's very, very important to us as storytellers. It's also to make sure that we pay respect to the So family, the So clan. So I think it's absolutely like an inspirational jumping off point, and a really awesome one at that. It gives us such a good baseline, if you will.
I mean, it's important to note that we're not making a historical simulation or documentary. This is I guess a fantasy Japan.
Yeah.
And we're using fictional characters, arts that's inspired from all over the place. But we're making sure that we're hitting the right tone of the age. Yeah.
I think the trailer actually, though, like some of the shots in the trailer, they're not. I don't know. I have not traveled all over Tsushima. I've been to Tsushima, but there's no. When I went, there was not the perfect pampas grass field or the perfect wetland with the white flowers on it. But those are impressionistic views of Japan that we've done a lot of research on, that we are going to inject into our game and our world, because we want people to be able to go to those places.
So that said, it does feel, like you said, there are areas that are based on real environments that you did get to see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So did you find sort of a lot of visual resource or inspiration from actually visiting and seeing things firsthand?
Yes. Yes. We took 2 trips to Japan. 2 different groups that went, but both teams made sure we visited Tsushima. And the second trip, we were actually fortunate enough to be there during a festival that they have to commemorate the attack, because it happens around the time that the attack occurred in Komodahama. And that was an amazing experience, getting to go and just visit an area and learn, and then just discover how rich that history and culture still is there. It was it was it was an opportunity of a lifetime.
I mean, think about the scale of that. 750 years later, they're still commemorating this.
Right.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
And powerful. I mean, well, you obviously took a lot of reference when we were there.
Yeah.
Talked to a lot of people. But
Yes.
Anyway, it's weird. We went into one of the high schools because they have some Mongol artifacts just on display next to the baseball trophies.
Yes.
No one stole them or broke them or anything? I feel like we'll be
No.
gone in 5 minutes here.
No, it's really, I mean, it's just really fresh and alive. Right there, you walk in, and it's just sort of in everybody's memory.
Yeah, and I believe one really interesting thing that happened was something that Shu brought up yesterday when during his talk. During our visit, we were fortunate enough to actually run into, by chance, Nakamasa, who is one of the direct descendants of the So clan. And it was by chance at a restaurant. The So clan was part of the 80 samurai that rode out onto the beach. And in talking to him, I kind of became so flustered and enamored, and was just opening up and talking to him a lot about the game and everything. And then he gave me his business card, and I was like so set aback about that. And they invited us to come and like watch the ceremony that they have the night before. It's a smaller ceremony. It's much more intimate. It's on the eve of the festival. And so, therefore, I was like, okay, I really need to do something. I have to give him my card back. So I gave him my card back. I gave him my card, and that is actually what came close to having the game leaked. Because imagine our surprise when a newspaper clipping showed up, and it had my business card. And the Tsushima newspaper.
They can do that? They can just publish your business card in the newspaper there?
Evidently, luckily, we come to find out they can't.
There
it is.
Yeah. That was,
Yeah.
was that a year ago?
That was a year ago.
That was a year ago.
That was the day that I thought that I would never be allowed back in Sucker Punch ever again.
That was our studio freakout day,
Yeah.
by the way.
Oh.
Billy's title on that business card.
Emotionalist?
Hey, he's an
Yeah.
emotionalist.
That was the only thing that made me calmer, because he's going to take that seriously.
Right. I didn't even know that was a thing. I don't ever want to give anyone a business card now. They just put it in a newspaper? That was so scary.
Yeah, what's even scarier is the amount of details that were in there, and one of these days we owe someone that was a friend of Daisuke Shidate, who was one of the guides that went with us on the trip, with J Studio. We owe him a big, most expensive bottle of sake, because he brought it to his attention because he had family in Tsushima, and he saw this, and he saw Daisuke's business card as well that's on there, and he said, "Hey, this is cool," and then it ran through the chain and everything, and ended up back to us, and so. That was the day it almost leaked.
Yeah. So when basing a game on a real place that happened a long time ago, I'm imagining you don't have a ton of resources to work with. It's not like there were films and photographs to go on. I mean, you're looking at like illustrations and anecdotes and books and hearsay.
Yeah.
Is it difficult to create something real based on something real with very little to go on like that? Or was there a lot preserved that you could find and mine and dig through?
There are some shrines. I mean, there's some places for sure. I think it's difficult, but it's actually super fun. You're just digging through history, learning about Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples and pagodas and forestry and the types of species and trees. Like not a lot of that stuff has changed. It's just grown in different ways.
Right.
So it's actually a really fun part of the job, at least from the visual side. To try to figure out what our landscape and world will look like as we draw from whatever context we can find, photography, history books,
And
film,
I mean-
actually, film's a great one.
And Sucker Punch team has a huge amount of resource material that they draw inspiration from. I'm actually surprised that they have so many. But we also have a great team in Japan who
Yeah.
advise us on if it feels right.
Yes.
And again, we're not making the real Tsushima, but
Yeah.
we draw inspiration from many areas to make that.
Yeah, it's been exciting for them as well. Like at J Studio, Jonah, who is another person that went on the first trip with these guys. He's a history buff, and he was actually he loved being able to be involved in this because it is like it's a history lesson about something that's really important.
We're seeing right now some of the reference photos
yeah.
you guys took on the trip. Did you get to keep those?
No, unfortunately,
Pretty awesome.
I asked.
Did you? You could just put clothes over it and try to sneak out.
Yeah.
You should buy some.
So yeah, these are obviously some of the reference photos that you guys took on your trip.
Yeah.
Your
That's
old
the
trips.
13 Assassins set right there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is a movie. If none of you have seen 13 Assassins,
Yes.
you have to watch 13 Assassins.
Great.
And if you've ever listened to Wu-Tang, you've heard 13 Assassins. Wu-Tang. So obviously this is incredibly challenging to put all this together, but you're going through all of these different environments, and I think just looking at the reference photos, we're getting an idea of what a world like this could be like as a playable experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's our intention, right? Is to try to find these types of places like this, or that previous shot was that Joanna?
That was Joanna.
Standing in front of an very old pagoda. Obviously there's a pagoda in our trailer. So it's finding the right special things and making sure that they're in the game. So.
And so obviously you have to balance historical accuracy with making a modern video game.
Yeah.
And you have to balance attention to detail with fun and also respecting the source material and the subject matter.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that's an easy task.
Yeah.
It's made a lot easier by having people who you can fall back on that are knowledgeable. I mean, being a part of Sony means you can talk to people who are totally aware with Japanese cultural customs.
Right.
And the last thing we want to be is, kind of inadvertently offensive, right?
Yeah.
That's not what you want. You want to bring this fantasy to life and have it feel potent and authentic. And part of that is actually trying to get the feeling that Billy had when he watched The Seven Samurai, because to Billy, that's what samurai are. In fact, to a lot of us, I mean, that's how I first were exposed to samurai.
Yeah.
So, we're trying to capture that as well. I don't think that is a, actually, I don't know, how historically authentic is that movie?
Not very.
You see? It's so fast.
I mean, in Japan, games and movies, they take liberties in creating alternate history. It happens all the time. And yet you feel that sense of being in Japan or feeling that tone. So, yeah, it happens all the time.
Starts with, in short of it, we have to think about what team means. It's not just Sucker Punch team and the people that work in Bellevue anymore. We have Ryu down in San Mateo. We have people at J Studio. We have Sachi.
Yeah, Sachi goes on
motion,
set with us.
kind of like mannerisms and motion coach on set with when Nate is directing. We have a Buddhist and Shinto guy who's a PhD in Buddhism. It's very difficult to just jump right into that world.
You have the guy that picks up the horse stickers.
Yeah,
exactly.
I gotta have that. So.
Tom.
War horse.
Dude.
Tom, the horse sticker picker-upper.
Yeah.
Man, where
Love
would
you,
we be
man.
without you?
Is he here?
He's
No.
here tonight.
Yeah,
He's got a
No,
scraggly
he's
red
out there
beard.
He brought
somewhere.
4
Watch
horses
TV
with him.
now.
So yeah, this is not tourists trampling around a country and taking pictures and running home and making a game. This is respect. This is dedication. This is a group of people who care.
Yes, and fortunately for us, yes. Yay! Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, man. Fortunately for us, Sony, the company, and Sucker Punch, collaboration is such. It's fused in our DNA, and so that part of the process wasn't foreign to us, and we were very, very pleasantly surprised to find out that branches all the way out throughout Sony, and so therefore it was. It's a hard thing to go about doing, but it was an easy thing to start doing.
Right. Well, you guys have been there with PlayStation for so long that I feel like at this point, you know, there's the same thing goes. There's a level of respect for you guys where they're sort of like, hey, like they're going to make art, and it's going to take a bit, and it's going to be gorgeous when it happens, but let's give them all the love we can.
Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, don't thank me. I mean, yeah.
I would love it, Ryu, if you would like to tell people about what a kamon is.
The what? The come on?
What that is. Yeah.
So come on, this crest right here is like a family crest that's used by traditional Japanese families. So each families have their own unique style. And this mon itself, we had a few conversations back and forth to get it right. It's a fictional mon, but there was a few designs that Jason put together, and we had some conversation back and forth.
Yeah.
So maybe you can elaborate on.
And
design we had.
Ryu and J Studio helped us make sure that the one that we were picking was the most authentic and believable for the time period, and also matched, which finally somebody on Reddit the other day put together, that it is mountains, and that it's because Tsushima Island has lots of mountains.
Right.
So that was kind of cool, and this is the family crest of Jin Sakai.
So we're happy with the final design.
Yeah.
We're proud of it.
I like wearing it.
Thanks to Reddit for discovering that those are mountains.
Yes.
I wanted to go down the row real quick and just have each one of you tell me what this game means to you, and I guess what you're most excited about in the future. Start with you, Nate.
Oh, well, I named my dog Lord Toranaga. Yeah, after character in Shogun. So I am deep into it, really deep. So it is kind of a dream. It is a dream come true, not kind of, to be able to work all day thinking about this sort of fiction, these stories, these characters. And I'm really excited to see it happen and make it, especially like the last month of production. When you're playing effectively a finished game, but have you ever played a game and thought, oh, this would be better if they just changed that? If you're making a game, you can do that. It's great.
Yeah.
So you're playing a game you love, and you can make it better. It's the best feeling in the world, and that's what I'm most looking forward to.
So yeah, you get to come in every day and go like, this kicks ass, but what if it kicked more ass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is wonderful.
It's like the build of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a lame comment.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I think for me, it's as an artist building worlds. Like creating Seattle. Second Son was super fun. You do so much research and you immerse yourself in amateur photography and professional photography and cinematography and other games. You just dive into this thing for years. And then you start getting to this point where you build your own version of it. You build your own flavor of that, right? Just like some of your favorite films, right? You build your own flavor of it. And being able to, with our trailer first, saying, here is our flavor of this, has been super exciting. And now we get to make it into an entire world. And hopefully, the way I feel about when I see a photography with a beautiful pagoda or a bamboo forest, and I see this awesome place, hopefully when people play the game, they will feel that and maybe want to go visit Japan, because if you haven't visited, you should. It's an amazing place. So that's my dream. That's what I hope.
Yeah. You and I were talking before we came out here about how integral Infamous is to Seattle and vice versa.
Yeah.
And how, to me, like I visit that city a couple times a year,
Yeah.
and I think of your game every time I get there, which to me is like the mark of a very successful video game. That you've recreated a real place, and the pop culture has almost replaced my memories of the real place. Yeah. And I'm just disappointed when I get there that I can't like run up walls and shoot lasers.
Oh, you can.
Well, maybe you can.
Yeah, but you get arrested.
Yeah, you'll get arrested.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
So yeah, I look forward to seeing how you begin to tell that same kind of story with Japan.
Yeah.
So I knew it would happen. Nate stole my answer. No, actually, for me, what I'm the most excited about is continuing to have an experience learning about the movements and the actions that our hero is going to get to do, and knowing that the player is going to have that same experience. And like for me, it really is. I get to play some of my favorite samurai stories, and I'm looking forward to just doing more of it.
and everyone stole my answer. So
Oh, man.
let's see. Well, what I'm most looking forward to is just the incredible narrative that we're going to be driving. It's not every day that you get to work on a game that's not a shooter or a multiplayer game.
Yes.
So it's going to be awesome. And lastly, I'm excited to, excited to play this game that's a representation of my home country. It's a beautiful country, and I hope by playing through this game, you get more interested in Japan. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
yeah.
Can I ask a question to the crowd?
Can you ask a question?
All right.
Of course.
All right. I am a very lazy creative director, and I often ask people for their opinion to try and decide what to do. We were arguing behind the stage, and this is a good chance to find out if people are into it. Would you be interested in playing the game with Japanese dialogue?
Yes. Woo! Yes.
I think it's a yes. I think it's a yes.
All right.
I don't know.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do it for the wooers.
All right. Well,
I think they're into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
This is what I love.
eat my Weasley gloves?
That's what he said. That will be an option in this game. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Ghost of Tsushima. This is Sucker Punch. Thank you so much for joining us today here at PlayStation Experience.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Give it up for Sucker Punch.
Yeah. You guys are awesome. Thanks, guys.